Hey guys, Ariel over here at Fy Nyth. I just thought I'd do a real quick update today. It's obviously kind of a gray, dreary day. The sun's popped in and out a few times, and in between there's been a couple snowflakes falling just above freezing, but kind of damp and chilly. I'm working on finishing up some more of my firewood splitting for the year. This is something I get questions about as well. If you're new here, check out some of my other videos. I live in an off-grid tiny house, that one right there, and my main heat source is wood. And I do have a propane heater for backup. Most of you have been following me for a while know that. I get asked why I don't use a splitting maul. This wood is so little because my wood stove's so small that I just find that I don't even need a full axe swing most of the time unless I hit a knot. So it works pretty well to just use an axe. The extra weight of picking up the maul is certainly helpful if you are splitting really long logs, but I'm not usually. In fact, I'm often trying to get just partial splits. I don't even want that one to go the whole way through so that I can split multiple chunks at the same time. Kind of like that. And then if it falls in the wheelbarrow on its own, that's nice. That's something people ask me, why don't I use a splitting maul? I am familiar with them, but you know, this just isn't that hard to split. So anyway, just getting some more of this remaining pile split up for the year, but I wanted to talk to you guys because I try to share what works around here and what doesn't, and what I'm doing and what I've learned, all that. So one thing I've noticed this winter so far, since I quit my job, if you saw that video, is that I am using more firewood. I do have a propane backup heater, as I just mentioned, and so last winter, for instance, when I was working a lot more hours and therefore home a lot less, I was also using less firewood because I would be gone all day, and with a real tiny wood stove in my little house, it does burn out. And then if it was really cold, like, you know, negative 30 or some of the temperatures like that we have, the propane heater would kick on, which was great because it kept the house above freezing. But it meant that I used more propane and less wood. So this year, since I am home and not gone and my fire's not burning out, I'm definitely, that one's got a knot. Definitely using more firewood. I'm fine with that completely. It's actually great because it also means I'm using less propane. My firewood is free, other than the labor like this that goes into it. But I like splitting firewood. I also do have access to a mechanical log splitter, and I do use it when I'm doing firewood for other people that are doing much longer lengths of rounds. But for my little stuff, just like the splitting maul, it's just overkill, and I like the peace and quiet of doing it this way. In fact, when I'm not talking to you guys, I usually listen to a podcast or book while splitting wood, or just listen to the birds flitting around my trees. Anyway, so I'm using more firewood than I have in the past. That is terrific because, as I said, it costs less than my propane. I'm kind of curious to see by the end of winter what my propane use comes out to. Last year I used, let's see, I've got 3 100-pound propane tanks and 2 40-pound propane tanks. I filled them last fall, and that lasted me a full year. Filled them again this fall. So I used 340 pounds of propane, not gallons. That lasted me for a full year. So this year, based on how this is going for heating, I'm expecting to use significantly less, but I don't know what that will quite be yet. So I'll find out. That'll be interesting. The other thing I've noticed is that I don't need to split my wood quite so small. So last year I was splitting a lot of pieces like this size as far as not length, but as far as diameter, because I was starting a lot of fires from cold. Again, because I got a small house and little tiny wood stove, and it does burn out when I was at work and such. I would wake up, the house would be a little chilly, fire would have burned out overnight, and I'd be starting a fire pretty much from cold in the morning. Sometimes there'd be a few coals, but not a lot. Then I would go to work, then I'd come home and it would be out again, so I'd be starting another one. Then if I went somewhere and had dinner with friends in the evening, I'd be coming home before I go to bed and start another one. So I was starting a ton of starting fires. And if you heat with wood, you know, it's not quite the way it normally works. Usually you maintain a fire and keep it going. Anyhow, with being around more, I'm able to do that. But when I was starting a lot from scratch, I used a lot more smaller pieces, not necessarily as kindling, but just so I could get some more, you know, stack it so I had more air spaces between the logs as it was starting. Now when I am maintaining a fire and there's always good hot coals in there, I'm finding I'm able to do a lot more chunks of wood like this size, that size, that size, if you can see here, instead of this size. Because once I've got a nice hot bed of coals, I could just toss one or two of these in and it continues to burn for a while. So that's the other thing I've realized. It saves me a little time on my wood splitting, that I don't have to make them all super tiny. Though they're still pretty small compared to most people's firewood. So that's just a thought. If you are in a tiny house, sailboat, school bus conversion, RV, any of those kind of real small places with a wood stove, and I know there's other people doing that. You know, if you are starting a lot of fires from cold, it is certainly helpful to have some smaller diameter logs, and if you're around all the time and you can keep your fire maintained and burning, then you don't need to do that. So anyhow, I'm just gonna be here, split my firewood, turn the video camera off, and go back to listening to a book, enjoying the peace and quiet. I can hear an airplane right now, but that's about it. And we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.